Hi, welcome to Bait Baits. Today I'm going to show you how to fillet catfish like a pro. These are the tools you're going to need, and I'm going to use my wooden fish to illustrate. A regular sharp knife. You want one that's tough, perhaps a knife that you can use a hammer on if you need to. These fish are pretty tough. Also, shears to cut off fins. And sometimes you want to cut the fish using the shears instead of a knife, especially through the backbone. Special pliers for the catfish skin. These pliers you're only going to need for catfish, but believe me, you do need them. Otherwise, substitute other pliers like electrical ones. And fillet knife. What's special about fillet knife? It's flexible, so you can press it like that and be very delicate with it. It's very sharp. I can cut myself any minute, believe me. And a good old hammer. You gotta kill the fish. How to do it? You gotta hit them right here, where their um, uh, where their pectoral fin is, and between their pectoral fin and their gills, right above them. That's where you hit them, like this. But you do it, hard. Catfish are very tough. They're not easy to kill, but you can do it with a hammer. You can also use a sharp object to pierce their brain and kill them that way. But you want to kill them before you do anything else with them, of course. And I'm going to show you how to use a fillet knife and fillet the fish and cut out all the meat that you want, like a pro. And you can do this to other fish, but I wanted to specifically show these techniques for catfish because they can be processed several ways. One of them without using the pliers. So you can do this like a pro, and then I'll show you a very simple way to fry your catfish on. This is a delicate process. First, of course, I killed my catfish that I caught. They're good and dead. See? Yellow bullheads, their yellow bellies, and little green patterns. And I killed them with a hammer, but I wasn't gonna show that on video. So, first step, make sure that the fish is dead. If you can do that with the fish, it's dead. Okay. Have yourself a special pair of pliers or a dedicated pair of pliers, because tearing off this skin is not an easy job. First, I'm gonna make an incision along his neck. So here's the skull, and I can still feel it around here. So I'm gonna make it right at the end of the skull, like this. And I'm just cutting into the skin. I'm not cutting in too deep. And I'm doing this to ensure that the skin will peel in a certain way that I want it to, instead of however it's gonna do it. So secondly, I make an incision right along the spine and just below the skin. I carefully go all the way to the tail. And I'm using a fillet knife to do these incisions. Now I'm going to take the pliers and start at the corner with the skin and tear it downwards. And I'm using these incisions here as holding points with my fingers. The skin is extremely tough. decided to the skin covers all of the catfish's body, and its body is extremely muscular, and I'm going to show you just that. So these same methods that I'm using for yellow bullheads can be applied to any catfish species, as far as skinning them and filleting them and all of that. Their bone structure is very much similar, extremely similar. And there's the belly of the catfish. As you can see, the muscles cover everything. It's hard to remove all of the skin, but I try to remove as much as possible, all the way up to the gills. And now that the skin is removed, I can carefully cut around the perimeter here to disconnect the muscles. So I'm just going around the spine, trying to not puncture any organs. And finally, I'm just left with one obstacle, and that's the spinal cord. And I'm going to cut right through it, like this. Then I'm going to make an incision at the anus of the fish, and then continue upwards. And here we have the inside of the fish. As you can see, this fish was getting ready to go to spawn. It's almost that time of the year, and I'm gonna take my knife and again continue along the muscles to remove all the organs. And as you can see, this is what I'm left with. What I'm going to do now is cut off all the fins, the tail, the anal fin, and the belly fins. Now the meat of the belly, that's what's referred to as nuggets, and it contains zero bone and just muscle. It's completely amazing. And when you cut it, you can feel the bones of the fish right here. So you cut along that line, placing the fish downwards and spreading out its muscles of the belly. And you take your knife and you follow that line of those bones and cut yourself some nuggets. Now what you're left with is the rest of the catfish, and it's very easy to make steaks out of it. And I'm gonna throw out the guts now, mostly in one. So this is all gonna get cleaned afterwards, of course. So I take my knife, and because this is a small fish, I can use the fillet knife for this. Never mind, I can't use the fillet knife. I use the shears. And these here are catfish steaks now. They can be fried or um, baked on the pan. Cooked on the pan in grease, however you want it. Missed a tiny bit of skin there. There we go. So I'm gonna clean my hands, and now I'm gonna show you how to fillet the fish. Um, there are two ways to do it. One way is to just cut in and cut out everything with the skin that you want, and then remove the skin at the end. Um, and I'm gonna try to do just that. So I make the same kind of incision at the end of the skull. And now I'm gonna cut along the spinal cord, and I'm gonna cut the skin, but also cut in deeper, because I'm not just I'm cutting in a groove that I'm gonna follow from here on out. And here, where the anal fin is, that's my next exit point. I take my knife and I push it through. Now I just press the knife against the spinal cord and slowly cut. Then I continue to cut along the bones. Once I feel the bones, I follow them. And now I puncture it this way and go towards the middle, cutting it thusly. Okay, here I have my fillet. going to start from the end, making a slight incision, and then I grab the end of it like this. I'm just going to use these pliers. And now I have a tear of skin to hold on to. And I gently continue onwards. And voila! We have the skin, and beautiful fillet, and the nuggets. Now repeat the same on the other side. Now I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna find the bones on the other side and follow them. Now I cut in the same way I did on the other side. And again, I'm gonna grab these pliers because this is very slippery. That's why I'm struggling so much. But that's okay. Mm. Oh. This is not working out well. Okay. And the next fillet. It's not an exact science, but you know what I'm left with is not much. mostly just guts. When you have a bigger fish, you can definitely get a lot more skin off of it and do a much more thorough job. So now I'm gonna go to the sink and wash these. Okay, folks, I'm back with my fillets. I washed them in water, and just wanted to show you what I can get out of just 2 bullheads. And now I gotta decide which one is bigger. This one wins. Oops. I'm gonna try to make another fillet. Are you ready? Yes, I am. Wonder Dad, it's really handy to just put your finger in their mouth because they got these grippers that just don't let go. So you can kind of get a good grip on the fish, um, in an ironic way. And now I'm gonna make the same incision on the other side while the fish is intact. Oops. Missed some flesh here, but that's okay. You can see the ribs right here. You just follow them along the line. Same on the other side. Cut in and get to the ribs. This is a lot. But we're gonna get through it. Oh. Oh boy. And following the skin. Then changing the position of the pliers and following the skin once again. Pressing the knife downwards. Let me get rid of that fin. And I wash it in the sink quickly. And I'm back. See, this is the fillet you can get out of 1/2 of a bullhead. And naturally I'm going to do the same to the other side. But you get the gist. Take everything besides the head and the guts, and you get a delicious meal out of just a few small fish like this. Excuse me. Fish on. Welcome back to Brave Bait. Today I'm going to show you how I fry the bullheads that I caught yesterday. I put them together in a bowl into mustard and frying crumbs is the only thing I'm going to be using today. This technique of frying fish can be applied to any catfish. Again, I'm going to be frying in oil, and I'm going to be using a thermometer to measure the temperature. Once the oil is at about 350 degrees Fahrenheit, it's good to go. If you don't have a thermometer, simply keep your heat at medium and throw in a tiny piece of breading, and if it's boiling, it's probably good to go. I made fillets and catfish steaks yesterday and let them sit in. I let them sit in mustard. So I'm gonna bread these pieces. So while the oil is getting hot, I'm able to bread most of my fish fillets and steaks. And I also got nuggets from the belly of the fish. They're the most delicious and fattened pieces. these little fish, they lead very interesting lives. When they are born, they spend the first 6 months of their lives with their parents, searching for food and learning how to hunt, which is pretty impressive because they're not born in small numbers. They're born at several hundred to several thousand. Imagine having not just one kid or two kids, but several thousand kids, and they're all hungry, and you need to show them where to eat. That's what these guys are up against. So half of the year, the bullheads are growing children, little bullheads, and then the rest of the year they take off, I guess, from parenting. But these are just few catfish that take care of their young. Most catfish don't. They just wait until they hatch and leave. Completely different style of parenting. I think the oil is almost hot enough. I'm going to measure the temperature real quick. Not quite. Okay, the oil is hot and ready to go. So I'm gonna throw in a few pieces and fry them 3 minutes. Gotta be careful lowering these in because the oil is extremely hot. And I always wear a watch to make sure I know what time it is. Or to make sure I know how long I've been frying something. Turn down the heat to medium. And I just keep the heat at medium throughout the frying. And once I am done frying something, I just put it on a paper towel. It's very simple, very nice recipe. You can catch your fish at night, bring them home, fillet them, put them in a refrigerator with some mustard, come back next day, fry them. Perfect. And the time is right to take out the first fillet pieces. And they're looking great. Now the mustard will add a certain color to the actual fish and the crispy outer layer, but that's okay. It's still very delicious and nice. And now I'm gonna throw in more pieces, and again, just 3 minutes each. Delicious fish fry. Probably the easiest recipe I can find. Yeah, I do purchase this breading mix, but you can substitute. Look at the ingredients, it's corn based, some spices in there. That's all it is. I'll be back to show you the end results. Fish on. And here's the end result. Still sizzling. Very nice nuggets. And just bits and pieces. Very nice. Crispy, flaky, and delicious. And that's fried catfish. Fish on.